It changed her income. It changed her life. It changed everything she did, changed her relationship with her spouse. Like it just changed everything because she realized she didn't have to rely on other people in order to have the life that she wanted to have at the level that she wanted to have it.
Welcome to the Beauty Talk podcast, where we feature how the best medical practitioners help their patients to look better, younger, and healthier. Now, enjoy the show, and here's your host.
Daniel Gao here. I'm the host of Beauty Talk. We feature the top practitioners in health and beauty, both inside and out. Now, I have Jason Everett, who's the founder of High Performance Salon Academy, where he helps salon owners grow profitable, people-first businesses through powerful coaching and leadership development. With a background in sales, education, and public speaking, Jason brings over 2 decades of experience empowering entrepreneurs to scale sustainably. He's known for his dynamic energy, tactical training methods, and passion for building confident leaders within the salon industry. Jason has spoken on stages across the globe and continues to mentor thousands of salon professionals each year. So Jason, welcome and glad to have you here.
Dude, who's that guy? Apparently I paid you to write a really good bio. That guy's okay.
Yeah.
Dude, glad to be on. And it's always weird when you hear when people are like, "Oh, this guy has done all these things." All I heard was he has 2 decades of experience, which just means I'm old. Apparently, I've hung out for a long time. So, dude, glad to be on. Thanks for hosting a show like this. I think it's a great place for people to come and get great information, especially about the beauty industry and just learning about it. So, thanks for having me on. Excited to be here, and hopefully, I'll bring lots of value today and help people understand themselves a little bit better and learn more about what they can do to be better people.
Yeah, definitely. Well, it's great to have you here. And Jason, you have a unique path. I'm curious, how did you get started in this world of the high performance coaching and then ultimately which led you to the High Performance Salon Academy?
Yeah, so it's really interesting because I've always been about performance, and performance, like as a word, is such an interesting thing because performance is like the act of improvement in general, right? So, like if you think about it, I actually came from when I was younger, I used to do a lot of on-stage work. So I was an actor and a performer, and I was like a lead singer in a band, and I was in, drama and theater and all kinds of things like that, all the way forward. And even as I got into business, I worked in radio advertising, which was all about, performance on radio. Did a little bit of television work, did a little bit of live concerts and events. And so it was always about producing and putting on performances. And then I worked with a lot of brands for years in the marketing world, where I would actually work with brands to activate and create unique performances and custom events for their clients they were bringing on. And I had always been in marketing and in business. And so when I started a business, I was like, hey, why don't I start a company that I can help people in sales improve their, again, what's the word? Performance. So I was like, how do I improve people's sales performance? And then it became about producing bigger and better and better. And so I've just always been a person who pushes my limits and want to know what I'm capable of. And so I kind of moved in that space, and I teach people how to speak on stages, whether it's in front of 10 or 10,000 people. I teach people how to better their own performance in their business, better their own performance in their marketing, or just better their own performance of them as a human navigating the world, maybe their own purpose and their own performance. And so what I learned, and the reason why I got into the salon and spa space, was because as I was helping people become the best version of themselves in a personal development sort of space, I realized 70% of my clients were in the salon, spa, and beauty industry. And they said, hey, do you do anything for business? I'm like, well, what I do a lot of times is for business because I've been in marketing and business background for years and years. And I started coaching salon owners, and it became bigger and bigger and bigger. Now we run one of the world's largest coaching salon owner communities. And it's an incredible journey. And I have dozens of trainers and thousands of clients, and it's kind of a wild ride, to be very honest. But what's wild is I've never cut somebody's hair. I think the only time I cut anyone's hair was my son during COVID. And Sam Villa, if you know who Sam Villa is, he's a pretty large hair, influencer and celebrity. He runs one of the largest channels on YouTube on Sam Villa, and he has a bunch of tools. Anyway, he said, Jason, that haircut is terrible. Please don't ever cut anybody's hair. So I was told by Sam Villa to hang up my shears. So I did, and I've never cut hair ever again. I just help people make a lot of profit from their salon company. That's why I wrote books about it and all kinds of stuff. That's my jam.
Okay, that's fantastic. It's funny.
Yeah.
I guess your amazing career in being an actual salon owner was cut short.
Yeah, it was cut short with one haircut. Yeah, I've never owned a salon. That's what's always interesting. For a long time, to be really honest, I'm very insecure about it. I'm like, look, I've never owned a salon. How could I possibly help anybody coach? And people are like, how can you coach people to do something you've never done yourself? That always comes up. People go, how dare you? And I said, well, look, you don't have to be a gold medalist to train a gold medalist. And if you look at it, even coaches for some of the biggest players were not actually some of the best players, but they were the best coaches. And I think the skill set to be a coach is different than the skill set to be a player. I think that's a really important difference for people. And I don't think everybody believes that. I think there's lots of people like, I would never take lessons as an Olympian from somebody who was never an Olympian. Okay, fine. But if you look at people who actually progress, a lot of them had Olympic aspirations but never made it, but they're some of the best coaches and teachers on the planet. So what I've always been a quote unquote Olympian at is being a world-class coach. That's always been my field of study. And so my job is to be the best coaches of coach of coaches of coaches. If I can be that person and work in that space, that's where I get my gold medals in. And that's why I can help people win, even though I've never owned a salon.
Got it. And I think it's a very important distinction. I'm glad you brought that up because I come from
Yeah.
a background in sports also. And
Yeah.
I had my Olympic aspirations and all of that. I didn't make it. But then when I train other people in my sport, it's like I'm basically sharing all the mistakes, what I learned, what I wish
100%.
I wish I knew all that before. So that's like I can
Yeah.
knowledge on. So I think it's the exact same way in your case. Like sales, business, marketing.
Yes.
And
Yes.
salon owners, mostly all they know is how to cut hair.
Usually don't. Right. And that's why I tell people, like, look, you are already good at cutting hair. I don't even teach you how to cut hair better. Look, you're already good at that. But I can fill in the deficits of the areas that you don't have. And see, a coach's gift and their ability is their ability to see the unseen for the people who can't see it. And I think when you look at that as a coach and you realize that, like, your gift is the availability to show people what they can't see for themselves, and the scotomas or the blinders that they have on that allow them to have that, like, that one area that they can't see, that they can't take care of. A good coach can see what's wrong and help them work to fix it. Right. And I
Yeah.
think that's part of it. Like, that's just the game. And of course there are players, exceptional players who make great coaches in the future also. That's not what, that's an exception of that. But I do think that you don't have to be in that spot to do it. I think you bring a unique skill set. And what's funny is most of my clients said, Jason, the reason why I work with you is you don't have all of the insecurities and bad habits that most salon owners do. And you actually don't believe the same things that most owners believe, which is what makes you unique. And I can bring in different outside opinions and perspective. And I bring all of the business world into the salon spa space, which is normally just an echo chamber of salon owners talking to salon owners. I break that echo chamber.
Got it. Now, I'd like you, if you can explain a little bit more about this concept of Unleash Human.
Yeah.
What inspired it, and how does it tie into the work that you do with your clients and these salon owners?
Sure. So my own personal mission is to see what I am truly capable of. Like in my life, like the day I die, I was talking to somebody about this the other day. It's like the day I die, and I don't know what you believe. If you believe that you just, disappear into dust, or if you go to heaven, or whatever your belief system is. But the idea for me is I learned a long time ago, like I'm going to die. And I thought, wouldn't it be nice if my life had a purpose and that one day I did something spectacular, and if the next day I died, so be it, my purpose is over and I'm done. What if it was to save somebody from getting hit by a bus? What if it was to have a beautiful conversation with somebody that changed the trajectory of their life and they're a better person because of it? And then I get hit by a bus the next day and I get taken up, right? And I was like, well, that's an interesting thought. And like, would it be okay also? Like, it'd be great if I knew, oh, I saved that guy's life yesterday. I'm done now. But would it be okay if the purpose of my life was be forever obscured to my vision? Meaning, what if I never knew what the purpose of my life was, and it was a conversation I had a year ago, and then I get smacked by a bus tomorrow? Would that be okay? And I was okay with that same thing, as like, may it be forever obscured to me, and that's okay. And I thought, well, wait a second, if that's what I'm waiting for in my life, to have some incredible moment that was really profound that justified my existence and being here, what if I made all of the moments that I spent on this earth about trying to have those profound moments and helping and serving and giving back to other people? What if I just made my life about that? And every day I wake up and I go, who do I get to have a great conversation with? How do I have a podcast to improve somebody else's life? How do I inspire somebody? How do I motivate them? How do I make some more money? How do I help change the life of them, their kids, their family, their friends, etc.? And what if I was to just make my life about finding more of those moments? What would my life be like? And as I wake up every day and get to breathe air again in the morning that I might get to do tomorrow too, I go, okay, I got more to do, and I will continue to do that forever. So I'm cool dying today, and I'm also in a position, in a spot that I feel very honored and blessed that I get more days to bless more people.
That's awesome. That's amazing.
Yeah, and you asked me about Unleash Human. I just started. That's like the beginning introduction. I should probably answer that question too. Sorry, I went on a little tangent there, but I needed to give you the context.
Mm-hmm. It's all good.
Is that okay? I'll keep
Yeah,
going.
yeah,
You're like, please. Anyway, But what I was going to say, so Unleash Human, since my mission is to see what I'm truly capable of, Unleash Human was this journey that I really started almost 20 years ago. Was like figuring out, what is the difference on human performance? Why are some people performing in a subway and some people performing in front of 100,000 people? What's the difference in their ability to perform both to people and at a higher level of performance, and what unlocks those levels of performance? And what's the difference? I'm the same guy whether I'm speaking to one person or 100,000 people. I mean, I've not spoken to 100,000. I've spoken to 10,000. I've gotten to, do that. But like, I'm the same person. So what's the difference when I'm in one place versus the other? Why would I get invited to a bigger event versus a smaller event? What would need to happen? And so I've been exploring and going on these I say crazy because I don't have a better word for it, but these wild journeys of exploring, deep states of meditation and alternative treatments and all these different places that would take me to a journey. And by the way, I'm not talking like mushrooms and ayahuasca. That's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about breath work and sound healing and anything you do naturally, fire walking, ice baths, all these things. And I've been exploring it for the better part of 20 years. And I realized that in most business settings, that's not an acceptable topic to talk about, why you think you can do these superhuman things. And I said, what if I created an event and just shared with people the incredible things that I've been doing and give them a taste, allow them to come firewalking and see what they're capable of, allow them to come and take an ice bath and do 3 minutes in a, 33-degree tub full of ice and test you. And a lot of people are, doing ice baths more and more. It's much more common than it's ever been before, but people are doing it for the show of it, as opposed to really understand what are you mentally putting yourself through and how does that work and how do you explore that and what comes up for you and then how do you process it. And so Unleash Human was an event that I created to allow people to have a taste of what they're capable of doing. And as one of my mentors that I never met in person but studied under him was a guy named Buckminster Fuller. He said, God, or the great spirit of the universe, said, God would not give you a lick of the ice cream cone if you weren't meant to have the whole thing. And so for me, I just think that that's such a beautiful expression, is that if I can allow people to have more licks of the ice cream cone of what's possible, I will invite them up for the opportunity to explore what they're capable of. And then that lives out my purpose and my mission. So that's my long way of saying Unleash Human in a quick little podcast nugget for you. That's what that is.
Yeah, that's amazing. That's amazing. Now, I want to
Yeah,
go into the actual like students you work with, the business owners, and just people who listen to you.
sure, man.
Because you often talk about how people have access to information but don't take action. So I guess my first question is, why do you think that is? And also the second part of that is, how do you help people kind of break through that?
Well, look, if information was currency, then librarians would be the richest people on earth. And we've proven over and over again that having access to the Google machine and the all great and mighty internet, or even access to ChatGPT, does not make you rich and wealthy, my friend. Like at this point, you have more information at your disposal from literally just opening up ChatGPT or Gemini or something and asking a question than any person has ever had access to knowledge in the entire history of man. And people are still broke. People are still starving. People are still broken. And I don't think it's information, man.
Mhm.
Information is not the magic. And I think we as a society have kind of said, like, well, people just had the information, they would make better decisions. No, you have to examine all their belief systems and their structures and their the stories that they tell themselves and their belief in who they are. They have to examine their self-image, their self-ideals, their self-value, their self-worth. And so if you don't believe you're capable of doing it, I could literally show you that everything is possible. I can make you $1 million by tomorrow morning. And if you said, but not for me, not, you don't understand, Jason. You don't understand what family I came from. You don't understand what my wife said. You don't understand what my husband said. You don't understand what my kids have done. You don't understand what car I have to drive or the city that I live in. You don't understand my situation, because my situation is unique and different, which is what we all believe and is partially true. But the deal really becomes that for us as it's just passengers in this amazing journey that we get to live on, is that we have to choose a different reality. And the problem is that everything can be right in front of you and you can still choose the wrong thing. It's like a buffet and you go and pick up one piece of food and it has a hair on it or something. And you're like, I'll see. The whole buffet is trash. So you gave me this beautiful gift, but it's all garbage. Did you see this? This one thing's terrible. In the meantime, you ignore the whole rest of the buffet. And that's what we do in our life every single day, is we see something that doesn't suit our expectations or meet our needs. And it prevents us from really seeing who we think we should be, because we don't believe we're worth it or it's valuable. And so when I work with people, either through Unleash Human or in some of the personal development work or the coaches that I have that do this work, is we help people to start to realize that they are capable of so much more than they ever thought possible. and give them a taste of who they are. So they go on a quest or a journey to go to start discovering it and uncovering it. Because that's the same journey I went on over 20 years ago and haven't looked back, man. It's been incredible.
Yeah. Now, it sounds like there's a lot of these, we talked about these self-imposed limitations that they have in their own mindset. Like, what are some of
Mhm.
those most common limitations that you're hearing from a lot of your clients?
One of the ones I'm hearing from my clients. I mean, I think a lot of them are like, I'm not worthy, I'm not worth it, I'm not good enough. I'll give you the ones that normally come up. The most common ones is a little generic, but I hope this is worth talking about. Most people have a belief that they need something in order to be something.
Hmm.
What I mean by that is like, well, as soon as I have the car, I think will give me the image that I want. Or as soon as I have the spouse, or as soon as I have the money, or as soon as I have the self-confidence, or as soon as I have the knowledge, as soon as I have the knowledge, like I don't know what to do. So as soon as I have the knowledge, then I'll be okay. And so there's always this like little barrier around you that says, what's the thing you're missing? And by the way, as a study of marketing since I was about 12 years old, like this sounds really dorky, but like when I was 12, I used to throw parties to watch Super Bowl commercials because I just thought the marketing was brilliant on Super Bowl commercials. It's such a dorky thing. Like I literally have a personal logo tattooed on my arm because I'm a marketing dork that I got when I was 18. So I thought, what's the thing I'll never change? It's like my own name, so I could do that. So I created a brand and marketed and got it tattooed on my shoulder. And anyway, so as a brand dork, what I've realized is that marketers are really good at telling you stories about what you're missing that their product will meet the need for. And I think we grew up in this world, at least most of us have grown up in this world that marketers have influenced our lives more than we could possibly know. And if you go way back to like old P.T. Barnum that says some version, I think this has been, maybe quoted to him or not, is there's a sucker born every minute, right? And like your job is money out of their pocket. This is not exact quote, but like, your job is to get money out of their pocket and like, give them something. So if he can convince you that you're missing something, he can convince you to buy something. Right, that's the version of that idea. And so, from everything that's ever been marketed to you, from the diamond industry that convinced you that 4 months' salary would buy a wedding ring. By the way, it used to be 1 month, now it's like 3, 4. Pretty soon it's going to be 10 years' salary will buy the perfect engagement ring to put a precious stone that is only precious because they buy a monopoly, not to go down that path of like diamonds. But like, just the idea is if you look at the concepts that are around us, there are things that have just been absolutely marketed to us and convinced of something. We are constantly being convinced by people that we need to buy something that we don't need to buy, we just need to be.
Hmm.
And so the question becomes is if you just need to be something different, what's in your way to be something? Now, the irony of that is, of course, I sell things to help you want to be something. So maybe I'm part of that same chain. But in the reality is like, if you can figure out what would you need to be or who would you need to be, and instead of worrying about what you need to have, it changes the optics on what you need to do, which then ultimately changes the concept of like what you do have back in your reality in your life. Like you will have more when you start focusing on who would you need to be. You do the things you would need in order to have the life that you want. But most people are focused on what they don't have that is preventing them from getting what they want to have, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Like when I have more time, then I will have the body that I want because I'll be able to work out. It doesn't work that way, right? You have to be the type of person who would make time to go to the gym, do the actions, and then you will have the body in the future when you make the time now because of who you're being.
Yeah.
That's how that works.
Now, it's like from what it in that vein, as far as like talking about identity, self-identity, how
Mhm.
important do you think that this self-identity role plays in if they can be successful or not successful in the business, or
Oh,
how
dude.
that entire thing into I am my business, so whether I succeed or fail is my identity.
Well, I mean, there's two questions in there. One is how important is identity? And what I would say is identity is everything, right? So if you can't change your identity, then, and this is the deal. I love being able to change identity. So remember I mentioned I was an actor. And so what's fascinating about being an actor way back when I was younger, and I was lead in a bunch of plays and all kinds of things and did some like improv, sketch comedy and all kinds of stuff. And what's interesting is you get to take on an identity and decide what you want your life to look like. And I say life in that play, right? In that play, in that show, comedy, and like I loved improv comedy because you could switch characters very quickly, and I love that. Like it's like when you watch somebody do an impersonation and they do like all the impressions back to back and they become all these characters at once. I always thought that was fascinating because the ability to change your identity is a superpower. And most people, to exactly your point, become the identity of what they do. And when you ask people, tell me about you, they go, well, I'm a doctor. Well, I'm a neurosurgeon. Well, I'm a barista. Well, I'm a stylist. And like, I don't know why they all talk like that, but the idea is like you have an identity that is what you do, but that's not who you are. So weird story to tell you. In Australia, when they see you, they say, how you going? They go, how you going? We in the US would say, how are you doing? Right? We say, how you doing? How you doing? They'd say, how you going? I don't think it's how you going or how are you doing. I think it's how are you being? What is your being in life? So who are you being and how are you being is more of the definer of your identity than how are you doing or how are you going. And I think it's a fascinating place talking about your identity because so many people just identify with what they do. And if you identify in only what you do, you get stuck in the idea of I can't do that because I am only this type of thing, right? I'm a doctor, so I can't do this. Or I am a business owner, I can't do that. Or I'm a parent, so I can't do this. So we put all these labels, we put all these stickers on ourselves to think of who it is that we are. And I think you can start unwrapping those labels a little bit and realize that you can be a dad that does these things or a mom who does these. And you can break that paradigm, change that identity, and have control over it versus most people get so formed in their ego and formed in their identity that they can't make a change worthy of anything. And myself, I just went through this. We had a bunch of turnover in our team recently. I was feeling really bad about it. I was like, wait a second. My identity I was holding on and holding hostage was if my team leaves, then my whole businesses will fall apart, which was not how it worked. What happened is I needed to cycle through people so the right people could come in and make some incredible things happen. And the right people have shown up to do even better work than we were doing before. But it messed with my identity. And I realized I'd gotten an identity trap. I wasn't willing to change my identity. And it was time to change my identity. When I say change, I don't mean like become a new fake person. I mean refine it into who you were meant to be, who
Mhm.
you've always been. You started putting away and you packed up to succeed or to move forward further. And now it's about refining and sanding it down and revealing more of who you've always meant to be. That's the modification of your identity I'm looking for.
Now, when it comes to that refinement or reshaping or whatever word that you want to use for it, how does someone go about doing that? Is it just slowly peeling back those layers, or like what would you recommend to people who are struggling with that?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's a combination of things. I think there are changes that happen almost instantaneously, right? There are changes that can happen. Like think of this. If you say, I want a divorce, you've instantly changed your reality. Instantly, right? If those say those words, it's over. I'm done. But in the same respect, you can say the same thing as saying, I do commit you to somebody for the rest of your life as well. So you can make instantaneous decisions that will forever change the trajectory of your life. Never again, right? I'll never drink again, or I will never do that, or I will never be around that person, or I don't want to talk to you ever again. You can make instantaneous decisions. I think those are very big and very like, people love those big moments, and I think they make for good social media content sometimes, right? When you have like a big pop and something changes. But honestly, man, it's the slow burn things that make the biggest impact on people. Like nobody ever got fat eating one piece of chocolate cake.
Mm.
It's the continual repeating of the pattern of eating chocolate cake over the next 6 months or a year that creates the problem of eating chocolate cake every day will make you fat. It's
Mhm.
not the chocolate cake, it's the pattern and the habit. And
Mhm.
so, two ways. One, you can make an immediate decision and change trajectory, or you can create a series of patterns and challenges, or not challenges, patterns and habits that will forever change your trajectory. But you have to decide what type of person would I need to be as my identity in order to make that a healthy pattern or choice for me to move in that direction.
So you
It
gotta
has a
get
lot to do with the story you tell yourself.
yeah, you gotta get that down first before you can.
Yeah, you gotta make sure your story's right. You gotta make sure you're making it from the right decisions. And so many people are running around. I do a lot of this, and we do a program called Little Voice Mastery, where we explore, kind of what you say to yourself and how it works. And so we ask you like 100 questions a week. It's literally 100 questions. 100 questions a week over the course of 6 weeks. And at the end of it, your brain is like, oh my God, I had no idea. And what ends up happening is you realize that a lot of your life, and this might sound crazy, but a lot of your life is run on decisions that you made when you were 6 years old, 8 years old, 10 years old. When something happened to you, you made a decision, and your 40, 50, 60, or 80-year-old body is running on a decision that an 8-year-old boy or an 8-year-old girl made, and it's ruling your life. And you don't even know that that happened. And so our job is to help figure that what that is, change the story. And as Tony Robbins says, change the story, change your life.
Got it. Now, Jason, you've led some adventure trips and some immersive programs. So,
Yeah, I just got back from one actually a week ago.
oh,
That
nice.
was- yeah.
So, what role do you believe that that intense, unfamiliar environment plays in helping people to get through that transformation, redefining
Yeah.
like that whole process?
Yeah, so I mean, breakthroughs come in a lot of different forms. Like I said, it could be an emotional breakthrough, it could be a physical breakthrough, could be lots of breakthroughs. But I would say breakthroughs always come when you get way outside your comfort zone. And I don't know about you, man, but like, there are people that like became very big couch potato homebodies and said, I like my safety and my comfort and my surroundings. And I think comfort is the enemy of progress. And so if you're very, very comfortable and you don't want to change anything, you don't move. There's an old story, and I'll tell this and then get into high octane because it's the events that I do. There's a story of this man who was getting interviewed on a porch. I was down a bayou or something in Florida. And he had an old hound dog that was sitting on the porch. This guy's sitting in a rocking chair, rocking back and forth. There's a hound dog, and the guy's interviewing him, asking him all these questions. And every few minutes, this hound dog lifts his head. He's like, puts his head back down. A couple minutes go by. The interviewer asks a bunch more questions, and the hound dog lifts his head again. He puts his head back down. This guy, I gotta ask you, what is wrong with your dog? Like, there's something wrong with your dog, man. Is he sick? Is he broken? Is he whatever? And he goes, no. He's sitting on a nail, and it hurts him just enough to complain about it, not enough to change it. And so I tell you that story because what I've learned for me is if I put myself in situations where I'm required to change, or I put myself in a situation that is scary or at a limit, or it pushes me way outside my comfort zone, and all of a sudden I have to become something different and create a better outcome than I've ever been. Like I don't know anything else that's better than going on an adventure trip and doing something you've never done before. And so the one I just got back from, I went to Alaska. I took 11 people, and we took helicopters out to a glacier and went dog sledding. It was incredible. It was super cool. It was up in Alaska, and we did that. And then the next day, we went and took these amazing side by sides and ran through these rivers and along these streams and did some incredible stuff. We got out to this glacier point and watched as these glaciers were breaking apart. And we watched a glacier the size of an apartment building roll over. And it just rolled over right in front of us, and the most amazing blue color you've ever seen in your life. It's been trapped in the ice for like hundreds or thousands of years. It just sits in there because all the minerals and the oxygen missing. You just see this beautiful blue color. And like people were forever changed in that profound moment. Like honestly, just watching that iceberg roll over was one of my favorite parts of that entire trip because we just were put in an environment that was so outside of our norm that it changed everybody forever. Like all the people who attended that trip will never forget it. And of course, we talked about business lessons of like how it works to lead a pack of sled dogs and how the whole process works. We had business moments. We had all these other things. We talked about all those things too. But putting yourself in an environment that requires that you become more sophisticated and complicated, but at the same time more simple and elegant because of what you observe is really the goal. I just find that when you take people outside of their norm, like it's really hard to change you on your couch.
Mhm.
If you at least came to my office, that's a good step in the right direction. If I take you to Alaska and put you on a glacier, I'm going to change you.
Mhm.
You have to change. You have to change because you've been put in a situation where you have to learn something new. And our whole life at a young age becomes put us in new environments, new environments, new environments, new environments. And we become an adult and we think, I want everything to be very safe, very secure, very stable. And I want to be really successful, but I want nothing to change. And you know who I want to change the least? Me. I don't want to change me. And you don't want the people around you to change. You don't want to change, but you want everything to be better.
Mhm.
Well, guess what? That's not how it works. You have to change your environment. That's the easiest one I know to change is change your physical location. And that will begin and set a chain of events into you changing in every aspect of your life.
That's amazing. That's incredible. Now, on that topic of major breakthroughs, Jason,
Yeah.
is there a story that really comes to mind as far as someone who experienced that major breakthrough and really kind of what made it possible? Maybe they came to you and they're just having a lot of struggles, a lot of issues, and then they had this amazing breakthrough. Like, would you mind sharing that story? Like someone that really just comes to mind that just stands out from all the other ones.
I mean, I have a bunch, man. I have a bunch. I have a couple I'll throw out there for you that I think are helpful. I'll talk about this gal came to work for me. She came on to work as my assistant. She was my executive assistant for I think it was 2 years, maybe 3 years, my executive assistant, and then moved into some management, and then moved into upper management, and now she wants to go home, be a stay-at-home mom. So like I'm really excited for her. We've worked together 5+ years, and this might seem like a really small example, but I watched her progress from being a 20, 21-year-old, insecure hard worker, but not questioning what they do, just be a people pleaser, all the way up to being just an incredible badass that just changed people's lives forever. And I'll never forget. There was one moment I sat with her, and we were talking about accountability. And we were getting ready to do that Little Voice Mastery program I mentioned already. I was doing Little Voice Mastery with her, and I sat down and we were talking about accountability. And the definition of accountability means to be held responsible to a committed set of actions that you committed to by another responsible individual. So I was the responsible individual holding her responsible to what she had committed to do. And I said to her, I said, look, this is a big accountability program. This is going to kick your ass. Like, we're going to do some cool work. And I said, you have some commitments. He goes, oh no, good news, Jason. I already have an accountability buddy. I have an accountability buddy. It's already set up in place. She's going to text me every day and check on me and make sure I did everything that I committed to during this program. So I'm already covered. I have a plan in place. I'm good to go. She's a planner, right? So she's like, I have an accountability partner already set and I'm good to go. And I said, great. We are going to get rid of your accountability partner. She's like, what are you talking about? And I said, this is not, can somebody babysit you to make sure you become who you need to become? Here's how it's going to work. You're going to text me every day and let me know if you did it. If you did everything you said you were going to do, you're going to text me every single day. And if you don't text me every single day, and I asked her, what's the consequence? She said, what do you mean, what's the consequence? I said, well, what's the consequence? If you don't text me at the end of every day, and I'll track at the end of the week, we'll look, did you text me every single day? I'm not going to check it every day. I'm not going to check on you. I'm not going to text you at, if you're supposed to check in with me by 7 and you haven't checked in, I'm not going to check in on you at 7:01. There's just going to be a consequence. What's the consequence? And she said, well, if I don't do my committed actions, I don't check in with you, then I'll pay you $100, $100 extra. I was like, okay, sounds good. And guess how many days she missed her obligation without the check-in buddy, with a $100 penalty in place, with all those things. Guess how many days she paid me $100?
Every day?
No, not one day. She didn't pay. Not one day did she pay me $100. Not one day, because she assumed responsibility on her own without anybody from the outside. See, the process of changing her identity was about empowering her to realize that she had the choice every single day to either be accountable or to not be accountable. And a lot of people think that there's somebody else who needs to do things for them. And her realization of realizing that she had the power and ability and gifts and skills to do everything that she needed already, she just needed to make the choice, was really profound. So she never paid one fine, one penalty. Nobody babysat her. She did everything exactly the way she wanted to. And that was the ultimate gift for her. It changed her income. It changed her life. It changed everything she did. It changed her relationship with her spouse. Like, it just changed everything because she realized she didn't have to rely on other people in order to have the life that she wanted to have at the level that she wanted to have it. And I think, I have stories of people making an extra $1 million. I have stories of people losing weight. I have stories of people stopping smoking. Like, I just have these incredible stories of transformation because when I empower people to understand that they can be accountable by being responsible and doing what they say they will do and following through on the committed actions, life changing.
So if someone's stuck in that situation, stuck as far as trying to progress forward, not quite sure what to do, what's maybe one or two practical things that they can start doing right now to start shifting their mindset, shifting their behavior, and start moving in that right direction?
Yeah, look, number one is you got to ask for help. Okay. So I think a lot of, like I said, remember at the beginning of this conversation, I said, people think they need more information. You don't need more information. You take more action. Okay. And so it's like, people look for like, oh, Jason, tell me the 3 secrets. Could you please tell me the 3 secrets to change my life forever? Okay. Secret number 1, because you're asking for them. This is my marketing secret, right? Secret number 1 is call somebody else and get some outside opinion and perspective. You cannot talk yourself into health. And it's not there yet, maybe one day in the future, but like asking ChatGPT to help you is maybe helpful, but like you need to take an action. And kudos on you for asking ChatGPT for help, but you need to get some outside perspective and outside appearance. We can't see what's happening behind our own head. And until you get a coach, until you get some support, until you get somebody who can evaluate what you're doing and see what you're doing and point out to you why you're doing it and start examining your mindset and your identity, you're not going to make any progress. You need to have somebody else point that out to you. Could you see it on your own? Can you hold the mirror up and look at the back of your head? Yes. And if you want to move really, really fast, and I just had an epiphany on this the other day while I was doing a worksheet actually we created, is I realized that every area of my life that I set as a 9 or a 10 on a scale of 1 to 10, I have a coach, I have mentors, and I spend time and I research and I study the hell out of it. And every area of my life that was a 3 or a 2 or a 1 is an area that I haven't spent time in, I haven't got a coach for, and I don't research and study it. Right? And so I think one is getting a coach. Another is committing to that resource and saying, how do I go forward on it? And the last thing I'll give you is Tim Ferriss calls it a low information diet. You need to reduce the amount of inputs that you get because inputs will confuse you. They did a lot of studies at restaurants where you have a menu that has 1,000 things, or you have a menu that has a very few amount of things, and you can overwhelm your clients. And they will actually have decision fatigue. And most people are making thousands of decisions, micro decisions every single day. And if you reduce the amount of decisions that they have to make, you will actually get people to move faster. So my last tip on that is reduce the amount of decisions. So number one, get a coach. Number two, start doing a heavy amount of research in that area, ideally with a coach. And number three is go on a low information diet. Stop taking in so much information. I know it sounds crazy to say stop listening to all the podcasts on a podcast. I mean, only listen to Daniel's podcast, like clearly, maybe my podcast if you like it. But like the idea is like reduce the amount of information. Instead of listening to 20 voices, listen to one, listen to two, reduce it down. And be mindful that whoever you listen to has the experience in the area that you're after and you connect with them deeply. A lot of people ask their parents for advice, but they've already exceeded their parents' level of wealth,
Mhm.
or they've already exceeded their parents' level of success. And so remember, your parents' number one job is to protect you. And so when you say, Mom, Dad, should I do this wild, crazy thing? They go, I don't know. It sounds dangerous. I don't want to see you get hurt. But the problem is you'll only have amazing things happen in your life if you have the ability to get hurt. That's what makes life beautiful. The most fun things you can do, or the most exciting choices you can make in life. Like, for example, the great adventure of being in love. In order to be in love, you have to open yourself up to be hurt too. If you're unwilling to be hurt, you'll never open yourself up to love. So you have to understand that the hurt is an option when you risk something, whether that's physical or emotional. And I think that's why I do crazy adventures. That's why I do those wild things. That's why I take people on journeys and do incredible work, is because they have to be open and willing to take themselves on a journey. So those are my three hot marketing tips that will move you in the right direction from a marketing
That's
purpose.
great. That's great. And that's actually going to be a perfect segue here into my last question. But before
Easy.
I ask it, I do want to point people to your website at highperformancesalon.com. So,
Yeah, they can check stuff out there. They could also go to jasoneverett.com. That's another place to go find some resources, especially on unleashed human tools. Jasoneverett.com or highperformancesalon.com. Either of those two would be great.
okay. Now, that last question is, when it comes to the most important piece of advice you can give to someone who is looking for that change, looking to transform, but isn't quite sure who to trust, like how do they find that coach? What would you recommend to them? Because I think it's very hard.
Dude, you have to sample it, man. Sample it. Like, depending on where you live, like I have a lot of Costco's that are around me. I have not one too far from my house. Sample the food before you buy it, man. Like, go get a sample. Go grab a sample of something. That's why podcasts are really cool, in my opinion. Is like right now they get a little sample of Daniel. They get a little sample of Jason, right? You're like, there's something about this guy that I like, or you're like, no, I freaking hate this dude. Why does he whisper sometimes? Why does he yell? He sounds too happy. I don't like this guy. Man, he said some weird stuff I don't agree with. Cool. You sampled it and you don't like it. Not every food is for everybody. I talk about this all the time. There's a reason why ice cream shops will give you a sample of the ice cream. Ice cream is not bad if you don't like Rocky Road. Maybe you're a mint chip sort of guy, right? I love some mint chip. I also like Ben and Jerry's fish food. Find the ice cream flavor that you like, sample it, and when you like it, get more of it. And so that's my advice, man. It's like go do some samples. And that's why when I do things, I give away more crap for free than anybody on planet Earth, for crying out loud. Like you get almost everything I ever would teach is available online somewhere for free in a free sample version. You go learn from and operate. Go take a free webinar, listen to a podcast, watch my social media, follow me on Instagram, like whatever you do, go get a little sample. And if it's not your jam, totally fine. Go find somebody that when you watch their stuff, you're like, really good. I think I'm going to listen to some more and listen to some more, and then go from a sample to an appetizer, and then go from an appetizer to a meal, and then get a dessert, and then go back to the restaurant again, and then make it your favorite spot. That's how it operates in life. We give it a sample, we give it a test run, and we like it, we stay. That's what I look for. And I look to be the right people's profitable addiction, that they become completely addicted to it because they love it. And whether that's my trainings, my class, my whatever, that's why I have clients I've had for literally, I've had some clients for 17 years. Just go, Jason, I liked what I saw in the beginning. You stay true to who you are through this whole process. And I love how I feel when I spend time with you. And if you're listening to this right now, you probably felt something different while you were listening to this. And that's the goal. If I can make you feel different, I can make your life feel better. And man, you're just like, geez, I feel so hopeful. Like somebody yelled at me the other day. They were like, Jason, I hate talking to you. That's my favorite conversation. This gal named Sonia. She goes, Jason, I hate talking with you because every goddamn time I talk to you, you make me feel like I could do anything. And I leave this call with more work to do. Says the woman that I helped make another couple hundred, like Since I've met her, she went from 700,000, the salon owner, she went from making $700,000 when I first met her. She now does $3.5 million and owns 3 locations. And she's like, God, I just hate you. You just make me believe that anything is possible. I hate it. Really, she
Good
likes it.
problem to have.
It's the problem, right? But like, I hope you believe in yourself more than you did when we started this thing. That's all I could say. I hope you just believe in yourself a little bit more. You feel positive, you feel optimistic, and you feel like you can take on more of the world. That's how I like to believe people feeling. Always. If you hang out with me, that's it. My job is to raise your energy level. If you were a 2, get you to a 3. If you were a 3, get you to a 5. Or if you were a 9, maybe crack you to a 10. Let's see what happens. That's my job.
Awesome. Well, there you have it. Jason sharing his expertise. Now, Jason, we talked a little bit about the sites that people can go get more information, but are there any other places where they can contact you, learn more about your program?
Yeah, I mean, dude, just check out. Yeah, send me a message on Instagram. I'd love to know if you happen to check out this podcast. Do me a favor and say, hey, I was on Daniel's show, and just say, hey, and I'll kick you some free resources, some really good things. It just helps me kind of know that obviously Daniel's doing some great stuff. I know Daniel runs an incredible show, and it's an honor to be on here. So find me on Instagram, find me on Facebook. Of course, you can check out, YouTube and things like that. And don't be confused. There's another Jason Everett. I'm not Jason Everett. He talks on chastity and being sex-free before your marriage. I am Jason Everett that does Jason Everett with the double T's and all the things that teaches on coaching, training, and life. But jasoneverett.com and Instagram, Facebook, and all the usual spaces. You can even find me on TikTok if you want to get crazy. But just find me somewhere, send me a message. I'd love to know that you enjoyed the show. It means a lot, especially if it impacted you in some form or fashion. I know it takes an extra step, but it means a lot when I know that what I said spoke into your heart somewhere.
Awesome. Well, Jason, thank you very much for coming on.
Bro, thanks for having me.
It was great having you on.
Thank you so much.
Thanks for listening to the Beauty Talk podcast. Any questions, please contact the practice directly with the contact information provided during the show. We'll see you again next time. Bye for now.